Hi, in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you progress in learning Spanish. This video is for you if you've never studied Spanish before and you're ready to start. This video is also for you if you studied Spanish a long time ago and you now want to go back to it and increase your skill set in this area. This video is also for you if you're currently studying Spanish, but you feel like you're not progressing the way you'd like and that you're a little stuck. If you've seen some of my videos already, welcome back. If this is your first time visiting my channel, my name is Donna, and I help beginner Spanish learners who are going to take a trip to a Spanish-speaking country be able to communicate with Spanish speakers. And I do that by teaching vocabulary, various daily expressions, and other phrases in a fun and engaging way. If this sounds like something that would be of value to you, subscribe to my channel and also turn on the notification bell so that when I post a new video, you'll know about it. Welcome. So these tips are going to help keep you motivated, disciplined, and engaged, which are 3 things that I talk about in one of my other videos while you're learning Spanish. I think these will enhance your learning experience. Tip number 1, spending time in contact with Spanish. What I mean by that is throughout your day, you want Spanish to be a part of what you're doing. So this is a little bit different from the time that you set aside to specifically study Spanish. Being in contact with Spanish means that you are treating Spanish as a part of your life, not this separate thing that you study for a period of time and then you don't think about it anymore. So to be in contact with Spanish, that means that your devices that you use regularly, your phone, your computer, your iPad, your television, the default language is in Spanish. And the reason for that is that each time you use those devices, the first thing you're going to see is Spanish. And this is going to help you increase your vocabulary. So as an example, with your phone, when you pick up your phone, at the bottom, if it's an iPhone, you'll see the statement swipe up in order to open. Well, you want to see that in Spanish. So what you would see is desliza arriba para abrir o deslizar hacia arriba para desbloquear. You want to see that because that makes you think in Spanish right away. And that's what you want to do. And when you open your computer or your iPad or you turn on your television, you're going to see your instructions. You're going to see all of this information in Spanish. And it's going to keep you aware of the fact that Spanish is a part of who you are and who you want to become. And it's going to help you stay focused and increase your vocabulary and make you more comfortable with seeing the language in various settings, particularly in settings where you participate on a daily basis. Take notice of signs that are in English and Spanish. So when you're going about your day, especially in cities where there's a large Spanish population, many of the instructions, the public signs and things are in English and Spanish. Look at the Spanish version of those instructions so that you can increase your vocabulary and you're being in contact with that language on a consistent basis. Tip number 2, be honest in your consistency with learning Spanish. So you may have a specific period of time that you've set aside daily. Make sure you're following that daily to study Spanish. It doesn't matter if it's 15 minutes or an hour. The amount of time isn't as important as the consistency in making that happen. So 7 days a week, you're studying 15 minutes or an hour, whatever it is. But make sure that you're actually studying. And to give an example of this, when my son was younger and he's a cellist, and he had to practice, let's say he was practicing for an hour a day. When I would hear him, there were other things going on besides practicing. I did not hear that cello for the entire period of time. So we timed him one time. And what we learned, specifically he learned, was that he spent a lot of time preparing to practice. So this was going through the music that he was going to practice, reviewing his notebook that had his instructions for practicing that week, and setting up his cello, all of these other things he was doing. But he was counting that as practice time. That was not practice time. And what we saw was that he was actually practicing about 40 minutes, not 60. So make sure that you're consistent with your time and you count the time of studying, not preparing to study, as your actual study time. Also, give yourself weekly goals. Weekly goals that are achievable. That helps you remain encouraged, it helps you remain engaged, and it gives you that specific purpose that you're studying for, along with some of the other areas where you may be studying as well. But you have this one goal that you want to accomplish each week. So if you're just learning Spanish, one of your goals may be to memorize the Spanish alphabet. You can do that in a week. So set those achievable goals weekly so that you have something that you're focused on during that specific studying time. Tip number 3, create immersive opportunities. This is a more expanded way of being in contact with the language. You're immersed in it. So you're watching Spanish podcasts and you're listening to Spanish music. You're watching Spanish television shows. You're listening to audiobooks in Spanish. But create these opportunities where you are immersed in the language. This is really important because it gives you the opportunity to listen to the rhythm of the language, to listen to, and it doesn't matter whether you're listening to native speakers or those who have learned the language, there's still a rhythm to a particular language, and you want to listen to that. And as you're increasing your vocabulary, you're going to, especially with daily phrases, you're going to hear those phrases being used. And that's going to really be helpful because you'll hear the natural sound of it, the comfortable sound of that language using words that you've learned. And that's going to really help you when you are practicing as well, because it's also really important that during those creative, immersive times that you are practicing out loud and you are saying the words, you're saying those phrases out loud. That's also really important during your practice time, that you're saying the words out loud. So when you're hearing other people say it, you're going to become more comfortable with how those words and how those phrases sound. And think about it in English. Some of the words that we use all the time or some of the phrases that we use all the time. For example, one that's really simple is we use the word so a lot. So I'm going to do this, or so I did that. In Spanish, that's así que. So you're going to hear people when you're listening to conversations, when you're listening to on YouTube, for example, and you're watching television, you're going to hear that all the time. And you can hear how natural it sounds. And that gives you something to practice and work toward so that you hear the words that you're learning being used naturally. Make sure all of your reminders and your to-do list, your grocery list, those are all in Spanish. If you don't know the words, obviously, look them up. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Even if you have to write initially in English and then translate that to Spanish, do that. Because as you do that regularly and consistently, you're going to learn the language. You're going to learn those vocabulary words. You will not have to write in English first. So this is the beginning of that journey. Just start doing that in creating those immersive opportunities. One thing that I do want to give you as an opportunity to really listen to a song that I think is easy to listen to and to practice. And I enjoy this. I love this song. It's called Cuando Salí de Cuba. You may have heard it or already. And it's sung by Luis Aguilera. And it is a great song because it's not too fast. You can get the lyrics in Spanish. Just it's on YouTube. And listen to that song over and over and over again. You can hear the rhythm. You can practice saying those words, singing with the recording, because it's a great way, again, to make you speak out loud and to practice hearing your voice out loud so that you become accustomed to it. Find a language partner. This will also create a great immersive opportunity. You can find a language partner who either wants to learn Spanish, or maybe you can convert this person into wanting to learn Spanish. And you can practice your phrases and your words and your vocabulary out loud. I can't emphasize how important it is for you to say it, not in your head. You have to say the words and the phrases, and you need to speak out loud. So if you can find a language partner, that is terrific. Even if the person is not someone who is studying Spanish, just to have another person listen to you. Just ask them if they'll listen to you while you say the alphabet or numbers, or you practice the phrases that you're working on. Just somebody who gives you an opportunity to speak out loud. If you cannot find that language partner, speak out loud anyway, whether it's in front of a mirror, whether you're walking your dog, you're just at home, but practice speaking out loud. That is extremely important. And you can do that without leaving home, without having a Spanish partner if they're not available at that time. I just don't want you to become discouraged if you can't find someone to practice with right away. Also, you can go online and you can have those exchanges as well with someone who's interested in learning English, for example. So there are many resources that you can use in order to find someone to practice with. And in the meantime, just practice by yourself. But you want to make sure that you are speaking out loud on a daily basis. Tip number 4, as a new learner, focus on what you enjoy, what's relevant to you. So if you love your job, the industry that you're in, learn the vocabulary for that industry. If it's a hobby, learn the vocabulary for that hobby. Whatever it is, learn that vocabulary because you're more likely to stay with it if you're doing something that you enjoy. Tip number 5, make learning fun. This should be an enjoyable experience, not a stressful one. This is something that you want to do. You should enjoy doing it. And when you make it fun, obviously, you're engaged with it and you're likely to remain learning and you'll remain within that process if you enjoy what you're doing. So make sure the method that you're using is one that's enjoyable for you. But you're not stuck with that. Also remember that if it's something that isn't working, you can always change. The method isn't important. It's the consistency and finding what you enjoy doing. That's the most important thing. And also keep it simple. There's so much information available for Spanish on YouTube, online, and with different schools that teach Spanish and books. There are just thousands of things that are available, and that can feel overwhelming. Don't let it overwhelm you. Select those areas that you want to focus on and remain focused on that and learn that so that you keep it simple and enjoyable. So those are the 5 tips. But I have 3 tips. I'm glad you stayed here till the end. I have 3 tips that I also want to encourage you with as an adult learner. A lot of times as adult learners, we think, oh, we can't learn a new language. It's too late for us to learn a new language, which is absolutely not true. So tip number 1 for adult learners. Remember, you already have a large vocabulary. Unlike kids, because we always think, oh, kids can learn so quickly. They can, but they're also learning their own language. They're increasing their vocabulary, and they're learning the meanings of words you already know. You already have this extensive vocabulary. You just have to translate it now. So you have a huge vocabulary already just to be translated. So make sure that you understand that you're already ahead of the game in that sense. You already know a lot. Tip number 2, you have already learned how to manage your time. You've already learned methods that work for you. You've already learned how to focus on things that you have to get done. You're past the stage of learning how to do that in most instances. So you can learn that you can use that in learning Spanish. You already know. So now it's just a matter of you executing something that you already know. And tip number 3, as an adult learner, you are doing something that you want to do. Kids are still doing things that they don't want to do. They're required to do. They're taking classes that they're not interested in. They have to learn things that are boring to them because it's required for them to graduate from middle school or high school or college. You have more than likely already gone through those phases of doing those sorts of things that may or may not interest you. Now you can focus on what you want to do. This is what you want to do. You want to learn Spanish. Make sure you keep that in mind. It is not too late. You have the time to do it now. You have the ability to do it now, and you know how to do it now. So stay focused on that, and you will be speaking Spanish in a way that allows you to communicate with others and for them to be able to understand you, and you are going to enjoy the journey. So that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. Also, hit the like button and share it with someone who you think would also find this valuable. Finally, leave your comments below. If you have some thoughts to share, I'd be delighted to read them. Until next time, remember, cada idioma es un modo distinto de ver la vida. Every language is a new way to understand the world, and that is absolutely true. Until next time, ciao.